and welcome to the world as we see it. Um, you'll notice if you're a regular uh, viewer of this transmission, then you will notice that I'm not wearing my usual black shirt, and that need to be told moments ago that it's actually in the washing machine. So that was the end of that. So that also accounts for why we are 8 or so minutes late starting the transmission, as I ran around like a headless chicken trying to find where the black shirt was, where I had seen it last. And anyone, I'm notoriously bad at finding things, right? So something can be right in front of me and I just don't see it. Um, and keys or mobile phone or anything, it's there on the table and I just can't see it. So I feared it was one of those moments. I feared that I was looking and I couldn't see, and so I had to then go in, bearing in mind it's coming up to 11 p.m. So I went in and woke up Susie and said, "Where's my black shirt?" And she was like, "It's in the washing machine. I thought it was dirty." And there we are. So that's what's happened. Never mind. It's one of those things, isn't it? The best laid plans. Now, today, because tomorrow is Christmas Day, and because tomorrow we're having the Christmas Day service, today we are actually combining two things. We're going to be jumping across to look at the church times and go through the headlines as we normally do. And then what we're also going to be doing is going through the order of service for tomorrow. So sorry about that. Still got a bit of a bit of a cough. So apologies there. Now, let's then we will jump across. And I've just seen my coughing there, my coughing escapade. The transmission actually runs about 5 seconds behind everything else. So as I speak, 5 or so seconds later, I can see the movement, and yeah, apologies for that. Now, what we'll do, let's go across then to the church times and have a look. Now, what normally does happen is that Father David may well have had a peek at the church times before, and we have a little bit of a chat about any points of interest. And today, because everyone's very busy preparing for tomorrow, um, that hasn't happened. So that's another thing, which is a little bit different. So when we go across to the church times, and I'm just about to click on it now, um, we are properly this time going in cold, and I haven't had a chance to see it because I've really only just finished my own work not too long ago. Now, as always happens when we try to share a screen, um, it doesn't tend to work. So let's see whether my clicking has done anything. Let's click that. Um, we'll see whether that works. Is it going to work? Is it going to work? We'll have to see. I've got a little thing going round and around on my screen at the moment. So when that stops turning, no doubt we will then find out. Is it going to work? And you can wish me luck at this very moment. Um, I think it might work. Let's have a look. Is it going to work? Yes! Success! I mean, it doesn't happen often, but when it does, isn't that good? So, it says, that's good. Look, the first headline is very true. So, feeling bleak midwinter, a carol service will cheer you up, a new study says. Now, it surprises me, right? I know we we read these things in the church times about pieces of research, numbers attending church have gone down since COVID. Yes, we knew that would happen. They should. They. I always find this amazing. They need the research, right? They could have just telephoned me, and I'd have told them, "Yep, the numbers will go down." Um, and on this one, a new study says the fact that there's a study, they could have just rung me up and said, "What do you think? Do you think a carol service cheers people up?" And there would be a resounding yes. I love carol services, and I like the hymns in the Sunday service anyway. But most especially, I love carol services. Um, I think they're really important and really good. And even if the let's say the production quality isn't there, nevertheless, if even like for example, you go to some primary schools and they have a bit of an effort, and it's all over the place, and sometimes some children are just shouting the words, and other children might be a couple of bars behind everyone else. Um, it's really good. All of it is marvelous, and so it's all part of the charm, isn't it, of the Christmas season. So look at this. Attending a Christmas carol service at a cathedral has a positive impact on mental health and well-being. A newly published study carried out at Liverpool Cathedral suggests. The study was designed to cover what effect such services had on those attending, whether they were regular or occasional visitors. The church can take the findings seriously, says its co-author, the Reverend Dr. Leslie Francis, Professor of Religious Psychology at the University of Warwick. Um, well, yes, yes, we know the answer. Studies part of broader research into the positive impact of Anglican cathedrals on the local community. Well, why does nobody ever call me? Using the psychometric scale of the Oxford Happiness Inventory, the team surveyed more than 1,000 people, 333 before and after the Holly Bow service in Liverpool on the fourth Sunday of Advent, and then 102 attending the Christmas Carol service the same year. That's in 2019, by the way. So, in terms of religious identity, 81% of the survey participants described themselves as Christian, 18% reported weekly church attendance. That makes sense. 6% at least once a month. Okay. 14% at least 6 times a year. 44% at least once a year. That makes sense. And 18% never. 1% preferred not to say. Okay. So, very interesting. But I'm not surprised. Let's move on. There's no point in going over what we know the answer to already. Now let's have a look at this. Mum beats the stuffing out of celebrity chefs in charity Christmas survey. Mother knows best when it comes to cooking Christmas lunch. She came top in a quiz of 2,000 people who were asked by the school feeding charity Mary's Meals whom they most wanted to prepare their festive meal. Look, okay, if I could go anywhere and have anything, if only, of course, my mother passed away years ago, but if there were that option, would you like to go here and have your Christmas dinner, or would you like to eat your mother's cooking? I mean, if the result came back any other way, it would be perverse, wouldn't it? It'd be wrong. Um, and don't get me wrong, my mother, was an experimental cook. She would have a go at things which were a bit strange. Strange for us these days, not so strange. So she would make, lasagna and cannelloni and various other types of pasta with salad, and she would try to go a bit continental. Um, and she was good, excellent at cooking. But at the same time, she would cook stew and sausage stew and various other meals. And her if it was beef being roasted on a Sunday, in truth, it wasn't the best roast on a Sunday, right? But would I, what would I give in order to eat some of her roast potatoes, which maybe weren't the best in the world, but nevertheless they were cooked by my mother? Well, there's no end, is there? My mother's cooking. Anyway, right, so that's another one of those. They should have telephoned me, right? I would love, if only people did, if only people would say, predict the outcome, Lloyd. What's the outcome going to be? Mum knows best. Which reminds me, and this is for another time, I won't digress now, but it reminds me of an excellent joke that is said by the comedian, the Whitstable-based comedian, Harry Hill, who has an excellent monologue which goes on about his experience of living with the Badgers, and the punchline is Mum knows best, and it's true. Now, kidnapped missionaries in Haiti tell of their nighttime escape. This is amazing. This is actual news. So the story of Jurassic State, 12 missionaries held hostage after being kidnapped by an armed gang in Haiti in October was told by a spokesman of their organization on Monday. So that's amazing. A 10-month-old baby. So including a 10-month-old baby. And how far did they have to walk? I'd like to know. Through the night, having escaped the house in which they had been held for 2 months. An earlier statement last Friday for the charity's general director said that the 12 had been freed and thanked the US government and all others who assisted in the safe return of our hostages. On Monday, they said the charity had grappled for many hours over the proper course of action. Other people who sought to help us provided funds to pay a ransom and allow the negotiation process to continue. As you can imagine, we are not able to say anything further in respect of these negotiations. Okay, fine. So it says, after many days of waiting in no action on part of the kidnappers, God worked in a miraculous way to enable the hostages to escape. The group behind the kidnapping, the 400 Mawozo gang, demanded a ransom of $1 million for each, of the 17 hostages taken on 16th of October. 5 were released, and on 5th of, on the 20th of November and 5th of December. The release of the remaining 12 followed weeks of negotiations, a police spokesman, Gary, told the AFP news agency. Wow. And the effort was also involved the FBI. Incredible. Right? So, really good. Very pleased that they're out. That's really good. Haiti is an absolute nightmare, isn't it? Terrible, terrible place for those people following so many natural disasters again and again, really, right? So incredible that these people are out, and hopefully they will receive some good support and counselling. They will need to have some sort of post-trauma counselling, I'm sure. So let's have a look at this. It says the Archbishop's Holy Land article criticised by UK Jewish leader. So that's interesting. So the Board of Deputies of British Jews has reacted angrily to a joint newspaper article by the Archbishops of Canterbury and Jerusalem that warns of a concerted effort by radical groups to drive Christians from the Holy Land. It could divide communities, the board's president, Marie van der Zil, said. So I think we read this. I think we read this a couple of weeks ago, I think. I can't remember if I read it to you as a transmission or whether it was just me reading it. So the Archbishop's article published in the Sunday Times was in response to an urgent plea to the political authorities from the patriarchs and head of the local church in Jerusalem to deal with physical and verbal abuse against clergy, attacks on Christian churches, the regular vandalizing and desecration of holy sites, and the ongoing intimidation of local Christians. So that seems a pretty unsavory place to live. in my mind, and the government of Israel did come up with a statement saying that they would uphold a safe and secure home for Christians in the Holy Land and to preserve the Christian community as an integral part of the tapestry of the local community. But these patriarchs say that the commitment is betrayed by the failure of local politicians, officials, and law enforcement agencies to curb the activities of radical groups. So, that's quite serious. They're saying that Christian pilgrimages to the Holy Land contributes about $3 billion to the Israeli economy, and the local Christian community provides a disproportionate amount of educational, health, and humanitarian services in communities throughout Israel, Palestine, and Jordan. And they request urgent dialogue. Well, it's desperate, isn't it? I don't know what to say about that. So, are we surprised that the article has been criticised by a UK Jewish leader? Probably not. It's desperately unfortunate, and it seems to me that a leader of the UK Jewish, what was it called? Board of Deputies of British Jews. Well, the patriarchs who are there on the ground have said, these are the facts. The Israeli government has responded. The patriarchs have said, no, central government are saying the right thing, but local guys are the ones who are not doing what they're meant to do. And to me, it sounds plausible. And so the Archbishop, I think, highlighted that, saying, that would be bad if that's true. And we've got no reason to think that it's not true. It's plausible. And somebody in England has criticised him for saying, why would you say that? So, to me, that's really it becomes annoying, actually, when a legitimate, and it needs to be investigated, but a reasonable complaint about a situation, a circumstance in Israel, is aired by a group of, reasonable, educated, intelligent folk, and because it comes across as a criticism, somebody in England writes a letter to the Archbishop saying, no. Well, actually, yes, that's his job, isn't it, to support, Anglican folk, Church of England folk who do these pilgrimages to the Holy Land, are under his watch, aren't they? So he should get involved because it's a real concern. I also think that there's a kind of moral obligation on Britain because for a long time Israel was under British control, as was, the whole area, right? Sinai and Egypt. So I do think that there is a historic obligation to say, well, we as a country, as a government, as a church body, we have an intimate relationship to that part of the world, not least because of Jesus's relationship to that part of the world. Actually, the Anglican Church has been involved in that part of the world for a very long time. So, is it wrong that he wrote that article? No, I don't think so. I'm going to back the Archbishop on this one, actually, because I remember reading the letter from those patriarchs and thinking it sounds awful. Now, let's have a look at this. It says people are dreaming of a green Christmas. Now, I don't know what a green Christmas is. Obviously, we're uh, talking about climate change, I suppose. Um, let's have a look, see what it says. So, Christian climate activists dressed as Christmas puddings protest in Parliament Square on Wednesday of last week to draw attention to unfulfilled pledges made at COP26. I actually think that this is valid. Um, time and again, the British government has said that the climate emergency, they've declared it an emergency. And yet, what have they done? And that's what's annoying. So, 8 out of 10 people in the UK are prepared to change their Christmas habits to help tackle the climate crisis. A new poll suggests. Very good. This is a bit of research that I'm interested in because I didn't know what the outcome would be. Actions such as ending the use of non-recyclable wrapping paper, and no longer giving plastic toys were the top choices for households. Now, you can only not give plastic toys if non-plastic toys such as metal or wood are readily available in the supermarkets and the shops where you buy your toys. Um, if you're trying to buy Christmas gifts, and you know, I have done that, and you go to a shop and everything is plastic, there's very, very little choice. Um, certainly here in Thailand, it's extraordinary. Giving second-hand gifts and swapping the Christmas turkey for a vegetarian option were less popular actions for those who took part in the poll for Christian Aid. Just 15% of respondents were prepared to have a vegetarian Christmas lunch, compared to 55% who were willing to swap the wrapping paper that they had used. Well, I'm not surprised about that. Um, I do think that on that note, this lab-grown meat and these other meat alternatives are, I think it's called Beyond Meat. Now, when Beyond Meat and companies like that start producing something which looks and feels and tastes like turkey, then would people be willing to pay, the same amount or even just a little bit more for something, knowing that they're saving the world at the same time? And I think most people would, most people with a conscience anyway. So the notion that they're getting like for like, but no death was involved, and certainly there was no ridiculous waste as is produced by the incredibly unsustainable farming machine, the farming industry. Younger people were most likely to be willing to take action. 89% of 18 to 24-year-olds would change their habits this Christmas, compared with 79% of over 55s. Amazing. The poll of more than 2,000 people was carried out by Savanta Comres to coincide with Christian Aid's Christmas appeal for South Sudan. Amazing. So the survey also asked whether news reports about the flooding and hunger in South Sudan, exacerbated by the climate crisis, made people more worried about the climate change. 68% said that such news made them much more or a little bit more worried. The UN estimates that more than 70,000 people in South Sudan have been affected by floods, which have demolished homes and destroyed farms and livestock. Wow. The scale of the flooding is unprecedented and overwhelming. People have lost their crops and their livestock. When the water does finally recede, people will return to nothing. Well, I mean, it's terribly bad, isn't it? So, and climate change is only going to get worse. We're going to get a lot of these natural disasters exacerbated by, or if not caused by, climate change. And so, it's going to be commonplace. I think it's very, very bad. Now it says alternative pathway in Preston for traditionalist ordinance. Let's have a look at that. That's piqued my interest. A new House of Formation in Preston has been established to create a pipeline of Anglo-Catholic priests who can re-engage with the traditions, charism, of pioneering mission, its warden has said Ladywell House, an initiative of St. George's Preston, will offer an alternative pathway for Anglo-Catholic male ordinands from next year. They will train with Emmanuel Theological College and live in a shared property in the city, observing a common rule of life in an authentically traditional Anglo-Catholic environment. The warden of Ladywell and the parish priest of St. George's, Reverend David Craven, SSC, said this week. Asked about the origins of the house, he spoke of a lack of Anglo-Catholic priests able to take on mission pioneer appointments. St. George's had been really struggling to find people that were willing and able to take on a pioneering role as a curate. That is not to say that there weren't good people out there, but they just weren't sort of clued up as to how to go about doing some of this more pioneering stuff in a Catholic sacramental context. The church needed people who could really get out there and re-engage with what Anglo-Catholics have lost, which was there at the very beginning in our charism, which was church planting, church revitalization, missional priests, really. In many of our parishes, there will be young men who will be feeling a sense of call to priesthood, but maybe a monastic setting or an Oxbridge setting doesn't really connect with them. And to do something that's more contextual based, much more mission minded and practical, that is really where we are going. Well, this resonates with me because this is what I can't help but think this is what I'm doing. Father David is excellent at overseeing my in context formation. I've learned bundles and do every week, and it's really good. I can't imagine. In fact, I can't imagine not learning in this way. Hands-on learning. That's the point. It's really good. Somewhat a little bit thrown in the deep end. Certainly in the beginning, it felt like that. But as time goes on, you things become more familiar, and you kind of know what you're doing. So yes, very good. So not in competition with any other theological college. Now, of course, they're not. No one's in competition. It was hoped that Ladywell would bring back some of the charisms of St. Aidan's in Birkenhead and Kelham in Nottinghamshire, two Anglo-Catholic colleges that closed early 1970s. Okay, so that's very bad. I wonder why they closed in the 1970s. I wonder if it was just the size of the changing nature of worship in the the British Christian landscape at the time. I'm not sure, but I would be very keen to investigate that. All interesting stuff. Now, let's then we'll move on from there. This is all good though, isn't it? It's all good. Church times today is really, it's obviously to do with the time of year, right? Because I feel like they've really done some good stuff. I would want to read that feature. It says Ox, Ass and Shepherds Explained. I would like to read that, but we don't have time today. Getting down to the bottom, I'm going to click on the Saint Gargoyles because I do like that little cartoon. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it misses. Oh, hold on, this is the same as. This is the same. It hasn't changed since last week. Oh, look, 17th of December. This one. Nobody was impressed by a virtual Christingle. Well, that's just I feel a little bit robbed that we don't have a fresh cartoon. So never mind. Oh no, what have I done? There we are. Now let's go. What we're going to do now is go straight over to the St. George's website. Is that going to work? Is it going to work? Come on. Ah, there we are. So you can see, yeah, the St. George's Patio website. And we're going to, oh no, what's happened now? It's gone green. It's gone all green. Oh no, there we are. We're back. So we're at the St. George's Patio website. And I'm going to just take you through, we're going to tiptoe through the order of service for tomorrow. And that's the Christmas Day service. Now, as I think I've probably said this a couple of times this week, but I'm going to labour it because it's important. For anyone who normally watches, for anyone who normally joins us online, you will know that we start our service at 3 p.m. Bangkok, Jakarta time, normally on a Sunday. But tomorrow is not Sunday, it's Christmas Day. And so what we're doing tomorrow is we are going to be having our service starting promptly at 11:30. Okay? 11:30. And what that means, bearing in mind it's Bangkok, Jakarta time, what that means is that we will be kicking off at something like 3:30 in the morning if you're in England. And so that, for most people, is a little bit too early, right? So we don't blame you if you decide to join us in the replay, all right? And if that's something you want to do, then very welcome. You are there too. So let's go down. Now, normally I do go in from the top bar and I click on sermons. Today we're going to scroll down. You can see upcoming events. And there's Christmas Day, the 25th of December. And that's tomorrow. And I do need to tell you, and there's part of me, I'm just being honest, it's Christmas Eve. And it's coming up to about 11:30 here. And I can't help it, even though it's obviously a leftover from my childhood. I'm desperately excited. So, and I'm excited for two reasons, because we've obviously got some gifts for Sebastian, and when he wakes up, those gifts are not going to be under the tree. They're probably going to be in a pillowcase or something in the bedroom, and he will wake up to see them, right? And he can get very excited himself, and then we'll go downstairs to open them and share the opening in terms of taking photographs or a little video or something. So very, very good. But I just saw it said Christmas Day, and inside of me there was like a little childish jump, thinking, "Hey, it's Christmas Day! It's Christmas Day!" So that's really good. Yes. Now, what we do when we're looking at the order of service, it says very clearly 11:30 a.m. Bangkok time, so no one can say we didn't tell you. And you go down, you scroll down, and you can see that we've got the hymns there. We've got the "O Come All Ye Faithful." What a great hymn! What a great hymn! Then we're straight in with the liturgy. We've got the readings, and you just click on these where you see a little plus sign. You can just click, and it will open. This is called an expanding accordion. Okay, in the world of WordPress, which is the frame upon which this website is hanging. Then we've got "While shepherds watched their flocks by night," and I like that as well. I love all of these. I love all Christmas carols. There isn't one I don't love. And I would love, if only, I know we're in completely the wrong place, but if only we could get all of the churches together to join a carol service, a joint church carol service. Wouldn't that be a good idea? We haven't got enough people ourselves to do it, but maybe we could get everyone banding together under the banner of churches together for next year. We could plan it, right? And we could have something maybe in one of the hotels or something, we could have an event I mean, how fun would that be? Because, well, I just love carol services, right? So if that's a way, if that's a means that I can go somewhere and sing along, that would be really good fun. But for tomorrow, look, and we've got Hark the Herald Angels Sings. Brilliant. Can't wait. I can't wait for it. Now, for any of you who really can't wait and you want to, you can, at the bottom here, at the very bottom of the order of service, you can click on this and press play, and you will hear Father David's incredible organ playing, and he's singing along, guiding us with the words. And you just scroll up to any of those expandable accordions, and you've got the words to the carols there, and that's that. So you can practice. That's the point. You can actually practice, and we do this every week in our order of service. We have the music and the words contained in the order of service, and it means that everyone who wants to can have a bit of a practice, right? Now, I don't know, and I still don't know whether we are the only church that does that. Could it be? Could we be the only church which happens to do that? I'm not sure, but certainly no one. What I might do is I might say we are. And I think if I start, instead of asking the question, are we? I'm going to say we are the only church which does that in the world. And maybe that might encourage somebody to write to me in a comment and say, no, you're not quite right there. There's a church down the road from Maidenhead which happens to do that too. And great, any kind of engagement is welcome. So yes, if you would like to tell me what your church does, if you do something similar, maybe you do something better than us. Maybe you can give us some ideas of what we could do, right? That would also be very, very good, and I would welcome that. So, yeah, maybe you would, decide to do that. That's an idea. Now, what we're going to do now is move on from the order of service. We've done the order of service. We know what we're doing tomorrow. We've got the plan. We know where we are. We know what time it is. And so that really brings us to a bit of a close here. So I think it's about time. What I will do is move on to our prayers. Now, because we've only got, as far as I can tell, 2 people in attendance today, I don't think that number drops. Normally, if there are 3 or 4 people there, I say the word prayer and that number drops, and it's a little bit disheartening. But nevertheless, we've got 2. I think I know who both of them are, and so, of course, in case I'm wrong, if you don't want to join in, you don't have to, but stick around. For the rest of us, let us pray with confidence to the Father, as our Saviour has taught us. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, for ever and ever. Amen. Almighty God, you make us glad with the yearly embrace of the birth of your Son, Jesus Christ. Grant that, as we joyfully receive him as our Redeemer, so we may with sure confidence behold him when he shall come to be our judge, who is alive and reigns with you in the unity of the Holy Spirit, one God, now and forever. Amen. Now, for everyone, I would like to say thank you so much for joining me on the step today. You know, in the journey today, because it's been you know, I can't help when we get to Christmas Day. I look back on the year. I know I should have done that when we switched from year B to C, but it didn't feel like a new year. Christmas is the punctuation mark. It's that mark, I suppose. It's that point between a full stop and a new sentence, isn't it? You know, maybe I've got that wrong, but it certainly feels like that for me. And so, looking back over the last year, well, I feel like we've done quite a lot together. Now, yes, tomorrow, Christmas Day, I'm going to take the opportunity to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. And hopefully I'll see you before. But if I don't see you before, then I will also take the opportunity to wish you a very happy New Year too. So, yes, have a very joyous, peaceful, and healthy New Year. With prayers and best wishes. Bye-bye for now. Bye-bye.